Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dungeon Diving. I'm Ben, also known as MetaMongoose, here on the Dungeon Divers Discord server. With me today are Milk Mechanic, also known as Fake Ted, Fia, who plays Lorelei in our Thursday stream, and Barkid, also currently playing Vadim in our Thursday game. Today, we're going to be building some characters, talking about maybe like how one constructs a session 0. We had a lot of fun a couple weeks ago in our last dungeon dive with the character backstory generator. We kind of thought maybe it would be a fun exercise to run through it a couple of times, come up with some interesting characters, kind of discuss how they would fit together to form a party. Maybe kind of see how their backgrounds lean toward various classes, do a little bit of collaborative. This is, again, very much like a session 0, where you, as a DM, would get your players together, get everyone kind of on the same page before a game even begins, give the players kind of a reason to know each other, give the characters some backstory that kind of puts them in a path toward what you want them to do in a game. So with that stuff like that, we're gonna play through the character backstory generator. We're gonna give some advice along the way. We're gonna build some characters, some theory crafting for them, and then maybe discuss how a campaign would be built around the backstory regenerate. Because honestly, some people don't even have a plan for a campaign. They just want to play some D&D. And honestly, having a shared backstory amongst your players is a kind of a good way to direct them in the direction of a campaign. So without further ado, let's start with Fia. You want to do a couple passes through the character backstory generator, and we'll see what you end up with?
Let's do it.
All right. So we are using, for anyone who wasn't here last time, the character backstory generator that was in Dragon 422. It is the April 2013 issue of Dragon Magazine. And it's basically a bunch of tables that involve a d20. We'll go through them based on what you roll. It'll bounce you to other tables. There's like 30-some tables. You won't hit them all, but we'll see how you end up.
You could definitely try.
I have had people who have bounced between a few tables a lot, because surprisingly, a lot of the tables do end you up in prison. So let's start with where all things begin. Your birth circumstances. So what'd your parents do for a living? So roll a d20 or generate a number of 20 in some way, and let me know what you get.
I rolled an 11.
An 11. At least one of your parents, or at least your family in general, were priests.
Great start.
You started off in a religious upbringing of some kind. So that's step 1. Now, do you have any siblings? So let's roll on the table again, see where that gets you.
19.
19. You have 4 younger siblings. You are the eldest of 5 children. And as the eldest, traditionally speaking, you get old, you want to get out of the house. Maybe this church thing isn't working out for you. So let's roll a d20 and see where you ended up in the leaving home table. What was that?
17.
17. You are cursed and leave home so that your misfortune is not cast upon your family. We get to roll table 7 cursed to see what kind of curse has befallen you.
That would be a 20.
A 20. Your hand is a twisted and scaly claw. You have no idea how to remove the curse, but you're still seeking an answer. We're going to roll on the seeking table. to see where that gets you. Here's my seeking table. Nope, too far. There we go. Table 11, seeking.
I rolled a 14.
14. You discover that you need another piece of the puzzle before you can find out what you seek. So we're going to roll on this table again, but this time we're looking for information instead of the physical thing that would cure your curse.
Rolled a 1.
1. You find no sign of that which you seek. Your life as an adventurer begins with this quest yet to be fulfilled. So that's your first pass on this table. So you've got one character so far who grew up in a church, did something or had some curse fall upon them. Maybe you didn't clean the ceremonial statue appropriately. Maybe you said something you shouldn't have in the presence of an elder church person. Maybe just a dark curse fell upon you and your family had to cast you out. And you have a weird, withered, scaly hand, and you need to find something that will uncurse you. So that's pass 1. We will just stew on that for a moment, and we're gonna let Barkid play the game real quick and see where he ends up.
Alrighty.
So what are your birth circumstances for this particular character?
Rolled a 10.
Your family, whether it's one of your parents or both, were undertakers.
Ooh.
So
Certainly leaves us some possibilities.
yeah, it opens up a few doors. So how many siblings do you have?
13. That's the rule, not the
You
number.
are the bastard sibling of 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
Okay.
So there was you are a I guess out of wedlock extra married or extra child.
Mm-hmm.
So as do all children eventually grow up and leave the home. What became of you when you left your family of undertakers?
Rolled a 6.
6. Your home was destroyed by a villain. We get to roll on table 5 villain to determine the villain. And then we get to roll on table 9 vendetta to find out how we feel about that.
So for table 5, rolled a 3.
A giant destroyed your home.
And another 3 for vendetta.
All right. While seeking to confront your foe, you became lost in the wilderness. We will roll on the wilderness survival table to see what becomes of you.
5.
5. You live a survivalist lifestyle in the wilderness for a whole year, never reaching civilization. You get to roll on table 31, test your mettle to see how you fare, and then roll on the wilderness survival table again to see how things continue in the woods.
Okay. Rolled a 2 for the wilderness survival table.
All right. You nearly die in this year in the wilderness. You now walk with a pronounced limp or have a racking cough or a twisted hand or a blind eye or another pronounced ailment.
It's a lot of ors.
You know, just some options that would have befallen you.
Right. So as you're making this character, this is where you start thinking about what class these options lend themselves to. For example, if I decide that it's a leg that's busted up or an ankle, well, maybe he's not a martial class. Maybe he survived by learning some druidic magic or leaning on necromancy learned from his undertaker parents.
Right.
However, if
or an artificer.
or an artificer, or if you lean on a less disabling injury, lost an ear or eye or some such. Maybe he's been fighting up close with beasts in the wild and is taking on the attributes of a ranger or fighter.
Right. Maybe a druid, since you've been in the woods for a year messing around. Who could say?
That's the easy answer.
That's the easy answer. But there are many options. Maybe the rogue
Indeed.
scout.
But it just shows one of the uses of these tables. You don't necessarily have to follow through all the way. As you go along, ideas can percolate, and there's no reason not to run with them. But anyway,
All right.
let's continue.
So
as
back
that
into the
dice.
wilderness survival.
7.
7. You take shelter in a cave for the night and are forced to flee deeper into the tunnels when owl bears that live in the cave return from their hunt. Roll on the table 25, Lost in the Depths.
I am just getting lost all over the place. Must
You
not be a
are.
ranger. I don't know where I'm going. 15.
15. You are wandering through the tunnels when you are confronted by a horrible mind flayer. Its tentacles flail at you and everything goes black. You awaken someplace without any idea of how you got there or why the creature let you live. Eerily, now you know the deep speech language. So this is leaning towards like Great Old One Pact Warlock territory now.
Yep.
But
This guy's
now
a little all over the place.
we get to roll on table 8 Arrival to see where you end up.
1.
1. A seaside city. You find yourself press ganged. Roll on table 34 Press ganged.
18.
18. Pirates attack the ship and capture you, selling you into slavery. Roll on table 16 Enslaved.
This guy's had 2 whole adventures before he starts.
Yes.
13.
13. You lead a slave revolt, but as you flee with your fellows, fate moves against you. Roll on table 17 Waylaid to see what happens.
16.
16. You get lost in the wilderness again somehow. Back to 24 Lost in the Wilderness.
Well, at least I'm familiar with it this time. 16.
16. A druid confronts you in the wilderness. Impressed by your ability to survive, the druid teaches you more before escorting you to a road where you can meet up with a passing caravan. You now get to roll on 20 Caravan Guard, as that's your new job in life.
20.
Die this time around.
What'd you get?
20.
A 20. You spot trouble on the road ahead and arrange your way to ambush the brigands lying in wait. The caravan master rewards you with extra pay and the opportunity to claim a bounty for capturing the brigands. You basically get to get some extra gold and then roll on Arrival, table 8 again, to see where your caravan drops you off with your extra gold.
And of course, after that 20, I roll a nat 1.
That again finds you at the seaside shanty and be press ganged yet again.
My guy's just a ping pong ball bouncing back and forth.
So I assume at some point like this character, like if we end up using this one's like the old gruff, like withered character that's like, I've seen things. I've been places. So what happened in your press gangery this time?
19.
19. You are marooned on an island after offending the captain. We can
Obviously, my guy was taking no BS this time around.
So we're gonna test your mettle to see how you fared on the tiny island before being rescued, and then on Arrival again to see where you end up after being rescued.
Okay, so 16 for faring on the island. 12
You
for
come
Arrival.
through with flying colors. You survive. You obviously being alone in the middle of a low, survival situation, totally normal for you.
Old hat by this point.
Right.
I've got a jacuzzi set up by day 2.
Right. And then where did you arrive this time? Hopefully
12.
not in the seaside city that will press gang you a third time.
12.
12.
He arrives directly in the slave camp.
A small village in the wilderness. You endure a terrible winter before setting out, desperate in search for food. Roll on test your mettle to see how you survive, then
Oh,
roll
you gotta be
again in the
kidding me.
wilderness survival. Jeez.
10.
One of these days you're going to hit an end point.
I hope so.
All right.
Yeah, the end of
10.
his life.
You serve well in a naval war. Oh, wait, no, that's Press Gang. Hold on. Test your mettle. 12. Sorry. You pull through after some difficulty, but your spirits are high. And then back into the wilderness, because that's where you tend to be.
Okay, 6.
6. You take shelter in a cave for the night, and again, it's the Owlbear Cave.
Oh my goodness. 4.
4. You wander the darkness for days, subsisting on a few insects and bats. Then you get to roll on this table again.
Okay, well that die is getting retired, and I'm picking up a different one.
No,
11.
please don't.
11. In the tunnels, you discover a huge statue with ruby eyes. You pry out one of them, as is pictured on the old player's handbook from back in the day. You pry out one of them, but are forced to flee when a tribe of goblins chases you out of the tunnels. You are now cursed. Roll on table 7, cursed.
5.
Yeah, this is
Apparently, your
hilarious.
kiss causes others to become nauseated and leaves them chilled to the bone. Only one particular person can lift this curse. Roll on table 11, seeking to find what the deal is there.
8.
While trying to use drinks to bribe folks into talking, you get deep into your cups and start a tavern brawl. Roll on table 23, tavern brawl.
18.
18. Apparently, you save the tavern owner's life and send the ruffians on the run. As a reward, you gain partial ownership in the tavern, and your life as an adventurer begins now.
He's in like his
Now.
mid-80s.
Right.
Well, no, like we've
I-
only called out
I-
like 1 year of definite in the wilderness. All the rest of
Nope,
that
two-
stuff
two
could
we
have
were in the
actually
wilderness
taken place over like a year and a half. So
But since there's so much in there, this is the part where I'd ask the DM, what level are we starting at?
right.
So what level are we starting at, Mr. DM?
Well,
theory.
let's hold that thought
Okay.
because we're each going to roll through this table about twice or so and see if we can find some characters that mesh well.
Oh, I hope this one doesn't.
Um,
the next
But
time
if
doesn't
but
go as
if
long.
yours is if that's the one we end up going with, I would probably start you guys off at like at least level 3, if not a little higher, depending on what the adventure plan is.
Right.
My character is just an actual child compared to that.
Yeah, like you're like, I'm out here looking to solve a cursed hand problem, and he's like, a cursed hand problem, huh? Let's go through my list of problems.
I have all of
Oh,
the
you
problems.
silver child. Yeah. But I was just going to point out, this is one of those places where that common party weirdness, where you've got the one human who looks elderly, but is in fact the youngest amongst the halflings and gnomes and elves and whatnot, where that makes sense. My guy has obviously had, if he's one of these races that lives a lot longer, well, maybe I say that I've just been kind of decaying in that tavern for a while and losing my skills and wallowing in, despair and whatever until the opportunity for adventure springs up again. And that's why my gruff veteran starts at a lower level and has to relearn some skills. And also
Just to
explains why
brush
he's
up on some
adventurous.
stuff.
Exactly.
So hold on to that one.
Okay.
We'll see if maybe you end up with a better or a smoother path on the next go through. But Milk,
Couldn't be worse.
oh no, trust me, it can be.
It can be much
Um,
worse.
Did I just jinx myself?
But Milk, let's see how you do.
Yoki dokie.
Who are your parents?
10.
10. Parents were also undertakers.
Neat.
Maybe we're related.
So arguably, theoretically, depending on how we go with this, and how things go, if you two played like in the same background, maybe you're actually like brothers. Like you could do a family thing
Mm-hmm.
potentially. So how many siblings do you have?
Roland?
What'd you get?
8. 8.
You have 2 sisters.
Okay. 2 sis.
And then, as usual, you also had to leave home at some point. So, what were things like when you left home?
I rolled a 10.
A 10. You leave in search of a missing sibling, missing or distant sibling. So, one of your 2 sisters has either gone missing or has like moved out ahead of you and went to go do stuff in the world, and you went to go find them.
Gotcha.
Maybe they're in like a big city somewhere, and you're like new kid in the big city. But anyway, so you roll on table 11, seeking, to see how that goes.
17.
17. You discover that you need another piece of the puzzle before you can find your sister. So we're gonna roll on this table again for some information.
4.
4. You also find no sign of which you seek. Your adventure begins with your quest yet to be fulfilled.
How bland.
So again, we've already gone through this table pretty blandly twice, but one really exciting go through. But arguably, if you wanted, again, if we were constructing with what we have now, right? Barkid, you've got a character who's been some places, seen some things. Family was an undertaker. Theoretically, your family home crushed by a giant. Your family may be scattered. Maybe one of your sisters, because you had a family with a brother and 2 sisters in addition to yourself. So maybe one of your sisters was captured by the giant, per se, and you went looking, but your other brother, Milk, didn't until just recently. And he was looking, and you were looking, and now you've both kind of met up, and then you found Fia, who's also looking for some kind of deal. And maybe there's a rumor of a giant who has powers to break curses, and she's looking for the same giant for whatever reason. Or maybe the giant has like an item that can solve curse problems.
Or the giant is working for whoever cursed her.
Possibly also.
Or we're just people
or
living
or
normal
just that,
lives in an office building, 9 to 5.
as the song goes. But anyway, so that was first pass. So we have those characters kind of set aside. Like I said, some of them a little shorter on the path than others. Sophia, let's run you through here one more time and see if maybe we get a little bit more of an exciting backstory to play with.
I don't know about you. I love my first one. It's very exciting. So first roll is a 16.
A 16. So this time, this character's backstory's parents, nobility. You have been born into nobility.
Ooh.
So how many siblings do you have?
I rolled a 6.
A 6. You have an older sister, which is good news, because this generally means that you're not, like first in line for any particular important things. So now you can be free to adventure as your life whiz.
Responsibility until my sister dies.
Right. That's and as a DM, that is definitely a thread I might be willing to pull on occasion. But anyway, let's go to the leaving home section to see what you did to get out of that situation.
I rolled an 18.
An 18. Your family is this is, oh my god, this is classic fantasy. So you're a noble family, right? Your family is placed under a spell, and you seek a wizard's aid in removing it. In payment, the wizard demands a service. Roll on table 10, the wizard's tower.
Oh.
This is hard to write down. I rolled a 15.
15. You save the wizard's spellbook from burning and are rewarded. Let's roll on table. Where'd it go? Table object to see what your reward was.
18.
18. The object was stolen by a villain. Roll on table 5 villain to see what kind, and vendetta to see how you feel about that.
Okay. 19.
It was stolen by a wizard, so a rival wizard has stolen this thing that your wizard friend gave you.
10.
10 on the vendettas. You become trapped with your foe, and the two of you must rely on each other to survive somehow. So while you went to go get your item back, somehow you and the wizard got trapped together. So let's roll on table 31, test your metal, and then table 8 to see where you end up when you and your foe part ways.
I rolled a 1.
Well, you nearly die. So now you are walking around with a pronounced limp or a racking cough or a twisted hand or a blind eye or some other pronounced ailment. And then...
Welcome to the club.
Yep. And then table arrival to see where you end up after you and the evil wizard who stole your object kind of split
Maybe
ways.
you'll get press ganged.
Okay. Rolled a 20.
A 20. A sacred grove of a cadre of dryads and treants are where you end up. Now, it asks that you make a nature check, which is really just rolling a d20, but there's a difficulty involved. And then success or failure will determine how things go.
6.
6. Well, you failed. So the dryads curse you as you flee. Roll on table 7, cursed.
Great. 10.
10. Your eyes constantly weep tears of black ichor. You go to a wizard to lift the curse, but the wizard will only help you if you render a service. Back to the wizard's tower.
God, I really need help from my wizard friend. 12.
You craft a bad potion and become ill when you drink it. Roll on test your metal, and then roll on the wizard's tower again.
9.
9. You pull through after some difficulty, but your spirits are high. Let's see how you do this time in the wizard's tower.
2.
2. You ruin a ritual that the wizard is performing and unleash a demon on the world. It battles the wizard and you flee in the commotion. Roll on table 19 on the run.
Great. 7.
7. Your pursuers capture and imprison you. Roll on the imprison table.
10.
Your rowdy behavior marks you as a troublemaker and you are sold into slavery. Roll on the enslaved table.
17.
A noble buys you and allows you to work off your debt. Roll on table 33, nobility.
That's going to be a 3.
Your service in the I like how service is in quotes here. In the noble's house is actually as a slave. Roll on table 16 enslaved again.
I 20.
20. A friend of yours, possibly your old wizard friend, not the one that you pissed off recently by letting a demon loose in the world, scrapes together enough money to buy your freedom. But they're in need of a favor in return, because that's how wizards do. So roll on table 18, a friend in need.
4.
4. Your friend needs help to commit a crime. Roll on the table 15, crime, to see what kind. You succeed, but the Thieves Guild demands that you do a job for them in recompense. So you then have to roll on the Thieves Guild table to figure out what they want to do with you. So what kind of crime did your friend make you commit?
A 1.
A 1? Smuggling. So you did some smuggling, but the Thieves Guild caught wise, and they have some things to say about that.
11.
You perform several small jobs for the guild, but catch the attention of the authorities. They don't have enough evidence to imprison you, but instead you are banished. Your life as an adventurer shall now begin. So,
How many services did you have to do for wizards?
like at least 3.
I really need to stop talking to wizards.
Hey, you got trapped in the tower the way I got trapped in the press gangs.
So yeah, you started off with some nobility. Things went awry. We're not clear if you actually managed to. Well, no, you actually did manage to like solve the spell curse on your family. Because that's the wizard solved that, but it required you to do some work for them. Then some things happened, and you spent some time as a slave to like another noble family at some point. Then got in with the Thieves Guild. It was just a mess all around. But now you're free to go be an adventurer.
Yay! And maybe my sister's still alive at this point.
Hopefully. But the good news is we've established you have at least one friendly wizard on your side who may or may not need to do criminal things on occasion.
Maybe I made up with the wizard that was my my foe in the past.
Maybe. It's possible. You spent some time together. Maybe that was enough to kind of see eye to eye and move on with. So Barkid, let's run you through this here one more time.
All right. I say with some trepidation.
So who were your family this time?
11.
11. That was a priest. So we'll start you off on the religious side of things.
Okay.
Any siblings in your family?
6.
You have an older sister.
Okay.
And then, as all children do, eventually you grew up and left home. How'd that go?
19.
19. Your parents have promised your service to a noble in order to pay a debt. Roll on table 33 nobility to see how this goes for you.
All right, interesting. It's got some possibilities. 5.
The noble sets you to a task that turns out to be illegal. You are arrested for the crime, and the noble lets you rot in jail. Roll on 21 imprisoned.
11.
11. Your rowdy behavior marks you as a troublemaker. You are sold into slavery. Table 16, slavery.
20.
20. A friend scrapes together enough money to buy your freedom, but they need a favor in return. Table 18, a friend in need.
17.
Your friend doesn't really need your help. It was just a ruse to throw you a party. Roll on table 23, Tavern Brawl, to see what happens when the party gets out of hand.
So random. 8.
8.
8.
Through your bungling, the tavern catches fire and burns to the ground. You escape but have to flee. Roll on 19 on the run.
4.
Your pursuers capture you and sell you back into slavery.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. 5.
5. You're forced to mine for precious metals deep underground. We're going to roll on table 25, Lost in the Depths, to see what happens when you try to find a way out of the caverns.
19.
19 is a good number. You survive your time beneath the ground surprisingly well, becoming adept at quietly exploring. Roll on table 8, Arrival, to see where you emerge.
10.
A traveling community of halfling barges on a river. The halflings teach you how to hunt. You get to roll on this table again to see where the river takes you. So you've spent some time living with halflings on barges.
13.
They end up in a town in a swamp. A plague sweeps through the people while you are there. We're going to test your mettle to see how well you survive. Then we're going to roll on Seeking to see if you can kind of cure the plague itself.
16.
16. You come through with flying colors, so you did not die to the plague or suffer any major effects, and we're going to see about this adventuring.
So roll again for the adventuring table?
The Seeking table.
Seeking table, okay. 7.
While trying to use drinks to bribe folks into talking, you get into yet another tavern brawl.
Of course I do. I think this guy's a dwarf. 15.
15. You make a fine showing and slink away before anyone arrives to arrest the brawlers. You can choose to either have your adventuring life begin now or roll on table 8, Arrival, to see where you end up next.
Let's stop here.
Okay. So we've got an interesting path for that particular character. So kind of stew on that one for a moment, and we'll run Milk through his final pass through here.
Oh god. Alright, let me get my die. Alright, ready to go. I got a 3.
Your families were executioners.
Nice.
Do you got any siblings?
Let's find out. 12.
12. 12. You have a bastard younger brother.
Nice.
And of course, you went to go leave home. So how'd that go?
I rolled a 15.
You leave town with a caravan to see the world. Roll on table 20, Caravan Guard.
Oh, hold on. 17.
17. A villain and its minions attack the caravan. You spot them in time to mount a strong defense and run them off. The villain swears vengeance upon you. We're going to roll table 5 villain to see what kind. And next you are asked to roll on table 5 villain Roll on table 5 villain to see what kind. The next time you are asked to roll on table 5, use this villain instead. And the caravan continues.
Okay,
so let's see what kind of
16.
villain you pissed off.
16.
You pissed off the leader of a thieves guild.
Nice.
And then the caravan continues, so...
Alright. 6.
6. A bullet suddenly starts tearing up the caravan. For those unfamiliar, that's a land shark. And As you run for help, you fall through the crevice opened by the monster and land into the underground tunnels. Roll table 25, Lost in the Depths.
Okay. 4.
4. You wander into the darkness, subsisting on insects and bats. We're going to test your metal to see how you do, and then roll on this table again.
3. And then 2.
You nearly die. You have a pronounced limp, right? Yada, 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 the whole 9 yards. And then back into the Lost on the Depths.
I rolled a 2.
You are still starving to death. Back to the test your metal table.
Nice. 12.
You pull through after some difficulty, but your spirits are now higher than they were before. Are you no longer lost in the depths? Let's find out.
I rolled a 3.
Still lost in the depths.
Okay.
How about table 31 again?
I rolled a 12.
Feeling okay. Back to lost in the depths.
Okay. Hold on. I rolled a 4.
We're going to assume things went bad for you this time and roll on the lost in the depths table again.
I rolled an 11.
That's better. You just got to roll higher than a 5, honestly. We can move out of this table. You find the glowing statue with the ruby eye. You are chased out by goblins after stealing one of them, but you are cursed.
Okay. Alright, sorry, I was typing. 10.
10. You get the eyes of weeping black ichor, and you go to a wizard to lift the curse, but he will only help you if you help him. So, to the wizard's tower.
1.
You ruin everything. Demon shows up. You're on the run.
Okay. 8.
Your flight from your foes is interrupted by fate. We're going to roll on the waylaid table real quick to see where that goes.
Oh, God. 10.
10. You stumble into a tavern and start a tavern brawl.
19.
You save the tavern owner's life, become partial owner of the tavern, and your life as an adventurer now begins. So, we have acquired a nice little sampling of character backstory stuff. There were a lot of curses I noticed going around.
A lot of press ganging.
A little bit of press ganging. So, with that in mind, like, is there any Fia? Is there a character backstory of yours between the two that kind of sticks out as one you would maybe want to build a character around?
It's tough to pick between the two because I like the amount of characterization that comes with the second one. However, the first one leaves so much potential for just anything and everything. But if I had to choose, I'd probably go with the second one.
Okay, so the noble that has been bounced around between wizards and brief amounts of slavery and is now slightly cursed.
I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for just very strange moments with wizards.
Okay. Well, that good news. That one comes with at least 1 or 2 friend wizards. Maybe there are 2 wizards that don't like each other that are both your friends. So now you have to like navigate, the dichotomy of, well, I can't hang out with this one because this one's coming to visit.
Who do I sit with at lunch today?
Right. Barkid, is there of your mix? Is there one that kind of stands out as more interesting than the other?
Oh, gotta go with the first one. Too ridiculous not to.
Okay. So has been traveling a lot. bouncing around in the woods.
Stuck in the woods, stuck underground briefly,
You've
shanghaied
seen a
into
lot of things. You
Yeah.
met a mind flayer at one point. That could come back to bite you. A lot of interesting back and forth. That you spent some time on an island, just abandoned.
yeah. Most relaxing part of my life.
Lots of woodland adventure. Milk, is there a particular of your path that is more interesting than the other?
The second by far. I got
Okay.
trapped in the underground for so long.
So with these in mind, we've got, like a noble who has definitely been back and forth with some wizards. We have an undertaker's son who may or may not still be hunting for a giant, and has been many places, seen many things, interacted with all kinds of weirdness. And we have an executioner's son who has also had some strange. Apparently, you have a friend who just buys you out of jail just to throw you a surprise party.
I do?
That was my second guy.
Oh no, that was your second guy. Sorry.
My second guy and his second guy were pretty close, but he's definitely went a little more places.
That's true. But anyway, oh yeah, your guy spent a lot of time like just lost underground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So character class wise, because we're trying to put together like a party of 3 here, right? So we're definitely not going to have like a full party of 4. So there's definitely room for like there to be at least one glaring weakness in the party, or like enough of you kind of covering for that empty kind of role. But what kind of classes are you thinking?
I think a ranger.
So your guy, you're thinking maybe a ranger of some kind?
Yeah, because he did fight off that villain, but also he spent a lot of time underground in nature.
So some kind of like Underdark themed ranger?
Yeah. Maybe like a Gloomstalker.
Be neat. Barkid, what are you thinking?
Well, been going back and forth in my head. Easiest by far to justify would be Druid, of course, but I've played a lot of spellcasters, and there's his inexplicable survival against the Mind Flayer. So
Right.
I was thinking maybe a Psi Warrior fighter, that he's kind of always had the psionic abilities. They've helped him out a few times, but he's never
Right.
really trained them up.
Or maybe the Mind Flayer has done something to you
To create those
to
abilities,
make you more than you were before.
Yeah,
As maybe
maybe
some kind of weird experiment.
Right,
got
and he shows up like from time to time, like a mad scientist checking in on his lab rat.
Maybe
You
there's a
pay your-
lot of
when that
potential
happens.
there.
You pay
Yeah,
your monthly
I like that.
masterclass subscription, and you watch that tutorial by the Mind Flayer on how to use mind powers.
No, I didn't join Scientology. But yeah, something along those lines. I kind of like that the gruff fighter who's trying to figure out these abilities while keeping the young bucks alive.
Seems good.
Yep.
Just that gruff looking fighter who just has this weird inexplicable power that nobody can quite kind of like explain.
It's not quite magic. It's not quite.
It's definitely not divine.
Yeah. And he doesn't care. It just helps him get closer to his goal, finding and killing that giant and the Mind Flayer if we're lucky.
And Fia, what are you thinking?
Well, despite the noble upbringing, I felt like there was so much time spent in and out of slavery, and enough time spent going between wizards. I felt like the most appropriate class that I could possibly go with is an arcane trickster rogue.
Okay, that's pretty good. You've been definitely bouncing between wizards left and right. You know, doing weird, odd jobs for them that you may have picked up, like some interesting little spell bits here and there.
Yeah.
And as a core, it looks like we have a relatively decent kind of party starting to form. We've got a fighter of sorts. We've got effectively two kind of like striker-esque classes in a ranger and a rogue. The ranger can maybe cover some slight healing issues that may come up. You guys have spell casting kind of covered across all three classes, so you're kind of you're not hurting for not having like an actual wizard on hand. And if it comes up, Fia, your character knows two wizards at least, maybe even three. If we're gonna say that all those wizards you ran across were different people, though you have angered at least one of them
I
by
just know so many wizards.
letting loose a giant demon.
Well,
Whoops.
hey, that's a side quest, you know,
Right.
going and helping out the wizard and getting Fia in good with him again.
Maybe. Yeah, no, there's a good amount of stuff to kind of build a campaign out of those particular backstories. We can spend some time in the Underdark because I've got at least two characters who spend some time in the Underdark. We can kind of explore various curses and weird objects because you know you've at least two of you, I believe, have interacted with a cursed object before, or under the auspices of a particular curse. So maybe some kind of adventure that goes off of, you know, a bunch of people together with the goal of kind of clearing their curses. Some of you have spent time in slavery or have been imprisoned for one reason or another. So, you know, that's a good way to get people to know each other. You know, at least I think what did one of you, or no, we didn't use the other character that had been bought by Milk. Did your character get bought by a noble? I forget.
No, that was last time. And I
Okay.
think Fia got one of those.
I was purchased by a noble this time around.
But I mean, there's some interesting like noble or just societal stuff we can play around with. Maybe Fia's family has some issues that have to be dealt with. So like you all have to go deal with like a grand ball of sorts at some point. And maybe a mind flayer shows up to this costume gala. That would be a fun adventure. So, all things to consider. But these are all, you know, adventures and a campaign that is beginning to be built off of backstory, right? So, without even going through this table, like none of this would have happened at all. Like no one would have thought that this could be a campaign that could happen. So, this is like I said, it's a fun exercise for everyone to kind of get together and see what can be built out of nothing, you know, in this regard. So is there any interesting like plot developments you think would be kind of good for an adventure like this in general? Milk, Barkid, Fia, one of you?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
We really did come up with a lot there. There's so many possibilities. Because you as the DM basically get to, if we're just going off backstory for a campaign, you as the DM get to pick one of our background villains and make him the big bad. Maybe my Mind Flayer has been experimenting on a bunch of people, and we keep running into other psionics and find out he's trying to use mind powers to take over the surface. Maybe one of Fia's wizards, the one she ticked off, is out for some kind of power play.
Maybe the fight
Or-
with the demon didn't end up with the wizard as the victor. Maybe they are now some
Right.
kind of amalgam of demon wizard.
Or simply possessed. Yeah.
Right.
There's lots we could do here. So yeah, the possibilities aren't quite endless, but next best thing to it.
So yeah. But anyway, for those of you tuning in for this, this is kind of a fun exercise and kind of a good example of kind of how session 0 can go. If you're getting together with your friends to put together a campaign, maybe you have some ideas ahead of time, but it's always good to kind of listen to kind of the back and forth with your players, because it'll be a good way to kind of spawn very interesting side bits or shore up some vague bits you had in your adventure, that kind of give your players more buy-in to the game. Because if they have a little bit of narrative equity kind of in it already, they're more, willing to stick with it, or maybe more interested in kind of what's going on, instead of you kind of just building your story and having the players kind of run through it. If they feel like they're part of the story, they're more interested in continuing it and building on it.
Consider it a way to avoid murder hobos.
Definitely that. Or just it like as we were talking about a little bit earlier before the stream, it definitely nips in the bud the social issues amongst player characters when everyone kind of builds their own character and brings it to the table, because then you run into like one or two characters that are just kind of here for an adventure, one person who has like a massive backstory that they want to see tied into the adventure, maybe one person who's like, my character is the loner who doesn't want to do anything with anybody, and then the DM has to kind of cajole all of that together into one cohesive adventure. It's just kind of better offhand if everyone's kind of got a similar goal, or like a similar ideal to aim for.
Yep.
Agreed.
But it looks like we're kind of coming up on time here. So does anyone have any parting thoughts that would be helpful or interesting to share?
Nope. Oh, actually, make sure you stop by for the Sunday game starting at 7 CST later.
Ah, yes.
Don't forget.
Milk will be running that one. It'll be all
Yee,
kinds of
indeed.
entertaining. There was a lot of wolf murder last time.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that, okay?
It was a sad time for a lot of wolves.
For a lot of wolves.
But no, other than that, thank you for tuning in and listening to us kind of go on and on about character stuff today. And I think at the moment, last I checked, we were at like about 106-ish followers. So the more followers we get, the more stuff we can do. Again, besides followers, subscribing also important. If you are a Amazon Prime person, congratulations! You have a Twitch Prime subscription that is free for you. We would appreciate if you sent it our way, but if not, at least send it somewhere, because it's free money that's just sitting there, and any of us would love to begin using it to help develop more content for you guys in the future. Does anyone else have any side announcements, or would like to, I don't know, hawk your online personalities in any way, shape, or form? Is there places people can visit you online, or see you anywhere other than the Dungeon Divers Discord?
No.
Not at the moment.
Not for me.
No? All right. Well, in that case, you can find us all on the Dungeon Divers Discord. We run games all week. There are one-shots. We've got some campaigns brewing. So definitely stop in and see if you can get in on any of that.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you later.